Why did Arsenal back Mikel Arteta at a time which felt really difficult for the club? Now, I think there's often this question, but I actually don't think people apply enough context to the early stages of Mikel Arteta's Arsenal career. And on first thought, you'd look at results like this and think, why on God's green earth did Arsenal stick with him? But I think a lot of people don't actually apply context to even a run like this, for example. City was a really tight game, I remember. Leicester wasn't ideal. United was a good win from the penalty, I believe it was from Aubameyang. Villa was a dark day. But past that, Leeds away, the game's slightly in the balance. Pepe gets sent off and the game loops the complete other way and we end up getting pumped. Tottenham away, I remember they created next to nothing and scored two worldies. Burnley at home, we got one player or was it two players sent off, and the way we lost that game was a Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang own goal, if I remember correctly. Southampton at home, another game where we looked pretty good in. We were creating chances. We looked like the better team. And then we get another red card. And it just felt like a period where, in the early stage of Mikel Arteta's Arsenal tenure, particularly during this time, that nothing would go right for him. He kept getting red cards to swing the momentum, and I don't actually think people quite realise how unlucky he got at times. One of the reasons why the club backed him is you look at a record like this from one of his first seasons at the club, conceding 19 goals in 17 games with the defenders he had at his disposal. I think it's also lost on people quite how much work Mikel Arteta had to do, but more than anything, the positive steps he took towards turning Arsenal in the right direction. What was so good about Mikel Arteta in the early stages is, despite this turbulence and unbalance, he had the ability to change round the fortunes of the club very quickly. You know, I remember that United game away at home, winning 2-0, for example. He also thrived in the big games. He showed a lot of quality. He spoke out in a really positive manner for a young coach. But more than anything, it was the positive steps he took towards rebuilding the club. Didn't try to be naive. He didn't try to do anything other than play to the benefits of his players, which is what you should do as a coach. You know, that cup final was built on that three-back he played, maximising playing Aubameyang off the left-hand side. Maitland-Niles as a wing-back, David Luiz as a centre-back. So many players where they benefited from the system. This tweet I found from 2021 kind of puts it all into perspective. You know, he's added young, motivated, top talented players. He got rid of the bad eggs, so to speak, or the big egos, the players who were on a huge amount of money and just didn't really offer a lot to the club at the time. He was not afraid to make those big decisions. What there is with Mikel Arteta is a coach who from the very off instilled complete belief in everyone around him, a structure which was really good, a structure in terms of the players brought in and out of the club which was far better, a recruitment strategy at that, solidity in the big games, and also fundamental values, fundamental approaches in these big games. And honestly, this just touches the base because I think there's so much to talk about, but there's a brief explanation on the early stages of Mikel Arteta because I do think people sometimes associate it with just blind faith when it wasn't just that.